Johan talking to Alec. He's got a wheel gun out. He's not a rally driver. You don't have to change your old tyres. So Team Tsuyama with 2 Audis in the fray. Riichi Tomito and Ritomi Miyata. Miyata 20 years old and Tomita 30 years old. Tomita races in Super GT and Tomita in Formula 3. Johan Kristoffersson, Thiago Montero, row 1 of the grid from Mikel Ascona and Esteban Guerrieri. Then Andy Prio riding interference for Ted Björk on row 3. Kevin Chicon and Gabriele Tarquini, an all-Italian and super combative row 4. Row 5, Rob Huff, first podium just earned, and new points leader Norbert Mikulis starts 10th. Behind, Attila Tashi and Nestor Girolami on row 6 of the grid. On row 7, Benny Leuchter in the Golf and Jean-Carl Vernet in the Audi. Row 8 is Riichiro Tomita and Jan Erlache in his Lincoln Co. ahead of Ivan Muller, so there's one place Ivan will make up easily, who starts 17th ahead of Fredrik Vervisch. Nicky Katzberg in 19th on the grid, ahead of an off-the-pace this weekend, Mehdi Banani. And 2 wildcards, 21st and 22nd, Jim Carto, the Hong Kong driver in the KCMG Honda, and Ritomo Miyata in his Audi. Then marching qua in the Alpha from Daniel Hagloff, Nils Langeveld, Gordon Shedden, Aurelian Panis, Augusto Farfus and Tom Coronel, most of whom lost quick laps from going off or struggled in the rain, and Gordon Shedden having another nightmare weekend in his Audi, down in 26th position on our 29 car grid. Tom Coronel again, tail end Charlie, as they head into the final race of the weekend. And after here in Japan, there are just 2 more races in the season, in Macau on the streets, and then the final race weekend at Sepang in Malaysia. Well, Matt Neal, final moments before the race. Your Johan Kristoffersson may not have been as happy with the car as you really hoped to be, but you're on pole position, and that is something that you've really got to work hard to try and preserve into the first corner, because the man on the outside has the longest run into turn 1, and having the racing line on the outside, not necessarily always just what you want.
Yeah, I mean, just going back to the start, Martin, it's the start. From then on, he didn't make great progress in the first race today, which is the second race of the weekend. But then, really, did anybody?
Yeah.
So as long as he can get it away and keep it tight, sure, Montero and Ascona and Guerrieri and Prio and Co, and they're all going to be putting him under pressure. If he can keep his nerve, hold it tight, not make a mistake, not make a mistake. That's the key phrase. Because they're setting these cars up loose to look after those front tyres. We've, in the interview with Esteban Guerrieri, he said his front tyres fell off a cliff. Flash yesterday, his front tyres fell off a cliff. Just about to do up the bolts on Huffy's neck. They're all tight.
Yeah, nut loose behind the wheel. Let's see if that gun will tighten it.
Check your nuts. Yeah,
Rob Huff, second in race 1. And Neil Hudson saying, yeah, that's his first podium of the year. Really?
That's amazing to believe.
I know. 2012 World Touring Car Champion, hence car number 12. So he will go to Macau aiming for win number 10. And actually, every time he's gone to Macau, winning the title there in 2012, but every time he's gone to Macau since then, he's been in a position almost where it seemed impossible that he could add to his winning tally, and yet somehow he has managed to do so. Well, he starts here in 9th with Norby alongside him. The row in front is all Italian, Gabriele Tarquini and Kevin Chicon, and both of them reflecting with Alex Legui on their race. And looking forward to getting into it again. Chicon this time starts ahead of Gabriele on the grid. It's not necessarily always where you end up, though, because Gabriele does know how to get these things off the line. 2009 World Touring Car Champion and reigning WTCR champion. Tarquini, 94 points off the lead. Mathematically, could still win the title.
Is he the only driver who's done both?
What, title in both?
Yes.
Yes, because we've only had 1 year of WTCR.
Have we, or two now?
No, what? This is the second year now, but nobody's won the championship yet. Nicky Katzberg and Frederik Vervisch having a little Dutch-Belgian conflab.
Jean-Claude Vernet when before it was
it's TCR International Series,
yeah,
so not WTCR.
Yeah, very true, very true.
So no, I mean, there's only been one WTCR champion, and that was Gabrielli. And depending on who wins it, well, Norby wouldn't be a two-time champion, nor would Guerrieri. Ivan, were he to win it, would be a 5-time champion over 2 different categories. So that is something worth thinking about. Kevin Chacon made his debut with Alfa Romeo last year in WTCR in Slovakia, but he'd been part of our paddock for a while before that because he raced in AutoGP when it was a support series for WTCC and won the championship in 2011, then went on to race in GP2 as it was before it became Formula 2.
He almost looks too tall for that. You know,
for single-seaters, yeah,
he's not a short lad, is he?
Definitely on the fringes, but at least he is tall and skinny. You know,
he's not got a lot of fat on him, has he?
He's not a lot taller than Ivan Muller, who was tall for a single-seater driver as well. Ted Björk, 2017 World Touring Car Champion. He could be a champion in both disciplines as well. 4th in the points. He is 5 behind Ivan Muller. 42 off the lead. Ivan's 37 off the lead, held by Norbert Mikulec. So, a little bit of a... Not a problem, it's a bonus for Cyan Racing Link & Co. They've got 2 drivers in the championship hunt. The problem is they've got 2 drivers in the championship hunt. It's hard to focus on one, so they have to focus on both. Whereas if you're Esteban Guerrieri, there will be 3 Honda drivers who will be, if not helping you, at least not making life extra hard for you. Same with Norby. There'll be 3 other Hyundais who, if they're around you, aren't a threat. The problem for Ted and Ivan is Ted and Ivan. They are a threat to each other.
They're in different places on the grid this weekend.
Here they are, yes, absolutely.
And almost the nature of this WTCR formula and the 29 cars on the grid, it is a bit almost every man for himself.
Yeah.
You will see a bit of tactics, but not as much as we've seen in the past, and it's just the racing's too frenetic.
Yeah. Andy Priaulx, 5th fastest in Q3, got into Q3 for the first time this season, and having been fastest in Q2 on Friday, really looked as though he could end up taking pole position. He was the last man to go and unfortunately drifted out wide in the final corner and ended up not first where he was on target for. He was ahead on the splits, but he ended up in 5th position. However, still made it through into Q3 and definitely in the rain had a car that he could really work with.
He had it to the last corner, didn't he?
Yeah. On board with Bruno Correa, our safety car driver. Bruno dividing his time between us and Formula E. Oh, hello. It's a little bit
of showboating
naughty
of
of the
Bruno.
Audi.
Yeah.
Audi R8. Tail stepping out there in turn 1. René Munich there. No World Rallycross this weekend. So René is here with the team. Don't always see him, but at the end of the year, World Rallycross is done, so he should be at all the races. And there, Munich Motorsport's lead driver in the title race, Esteban Guerrieri, led going into Ningbo. Disastrous weekend, trailed Norby coming out. Won race 1, 10th in race 2, lost a couple of positions, basically almost off the grid on lap 1, certainly. But the Argentine was not rattled, took the points, and he is in 2nd in the championship, just 6 points off the lead. And he starts on the grid in 4th place with Norbert Mikulec in 10th. So he could go away from here again with the championship lead in his pocket. pocket. And this is flip-flopping between him and Norby with every race. That's how close it is. Mikel Ascona, can he be on the podium again? The 2018 TCR Europe champion, a title that has been won this year by Josh Files, who joined me in the booth earlier this year. And Mikel Ascona, the runaway best rookie in the championship, lies 5th in the points, ahead of Girolami, Erlache, Tarquini, and all of the others, apart from Ted Bjerke, Van Muller, Esteban Guerrieri, and Norbert Michelis. So ahead of him are maybe 700 WTCC and WTCR races in total of experience in the 4 drivers ahead of him. Maybe more.
But he's done a good job this year, hasn't he?
Yeah. Oh, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And every track he's gone to, I think bar one, has been brand new to him, as well as to the team. And that's the other point. He's not like in with Hyundai or Lincoln Co. PWR have never done this before either.
Yeah, I mean, he's managed to put a good program together and gone onto the grid, and he's made a good count of himself. It'd be, it'd be great if Josh Files could do the same, and I think he'd be a great addition. Yeah. Another Brit on the grid.
Yeah.
If you just got to be lucky, you almost have a little bit of luck going for you. The door open at the right time.
Yeah.
Right team, right manufacturer.
Absolutely. So our front row then, Thiago Monteiro, qualified 2nd fastest in the top 5 shootout on Friday on a drying track, and only a fraction behind Johan Kristoffersson. There is the bespectacled Swede.
Yeah, good check. So we didn't get to rebed those brakes that are on the car now, so you have to also do it on your lap here, don't forget.
Yeah, copy.
So what does he have to do on the formation lap then, Matt?
Well, they've got bedded pads they've already put in, so he'll just need to make sure his brake bias is working right, it feels right, just make sure everything's matched. Go through the motions, get a nice bit of heat in them. Same with the clutch, same with the tires. You want to get as much heat in as possible, but not get them too hot. Just sort of try and get into the optimum areas ready for the start.
Interesting career trajectory for Johan Kristoffersson. Again, you saw him chatting to Alex earlier. Not the shortest of drivers, definitely not really what you'd say is your classic single-seater.
So, Johan, aside from the red paint that's directly in front of your splitter right now, you also have the checkered white paint a little bit in front of that. There's a lot of rubber on that also.
Copy.
I was just trying to let him know what he needs to do at the start, where the grip levels are going to be. Also, where that red line is helps him line himself up in his grid box, because you can't see out of the car where the grid position is. And if you're out of position, as we found out many times over the years, you will end up with a penalty. So Johan Kristoffersson started in single-seaters, junior single-seaters, then transferred to rallycross, obviously, ended up as a 2-time World Rallycross champion, then has come touring car racing. So it's been an interesting meander through the categories. Not sure how much GT racing he's done, but I'm sure he'd be pretty decent at that. There is Gabriele Tarquini, the only name on the WTCR Touring Car Cup. That is the trophy that they are all fighting for. I quite like that. Never hurts to have the trophy there on the grid, just to ramp up the pressure and remind everybody exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, Martin, if you look on the Armco, just to the right of us, you'll see little lines of tape, black tape, up and down the Armco. Some on the bottom, some on the top, some all the way down. And this, you can get penalised for not being exactly in your box. And as a driver, you're so tucked back and far and down inside the car, you can't see it. So what they do is they'll line them up with a mirror. So just as they're coming into their box, they meet that line, they've set a marker on the grid, then they know they're in their correct grid position.
Well, there is our grid for the 3rd and final race of the TCR weekend here in Japan, with 3 wildcards, bringing our regular 26 car entry up to 29. And I think 21st here on the grid, Jim Kato, the Hong Kong driver, will be in Macau as well in that 3rd Honda run by KCMG. Don't think that Ritomo Miata and Ryuichiro Tomita will be racing in Macau, but we will wait until we get there in a month or so's time for that. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was about to say final race of the year is just 2 weeks before Christmas.
I know.
15th of December.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Well, somebody's going to get a heck of an early Christmas present, aren't they?
Good for getting your Christmas presents and duty-free, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Norbert Michelic, the points leader, starts 10th. Esteban Guerrieri running second in the standings, starts in 4th. There is the Argentine. Who's going to come out ahead at the end of this weekend? Whatever else, there's not going to be much in it. 195 points remain in the season. So Benny Leuchter could still win it. Thiago Monteiro could still win it. Aurelian Panis could still win it. 20 drivers, mathematically, could still win it. Realistically, unless most of the field don't turn up, we're looking at probably 5 to 6 drivers in the hunt. And in the team standings, BRC Hyundai, Sign Racing Link & Co, and these guys, Munich Motorsport, allinkle.com. Those are the 3 teams covered by just a hatful of points that are battling for the team's title. For them, for the mechanics, at least as important.
We need one of those rallycross starts. Let's get it done. Good luck, mate.
Copy.
Well, a great little bit of inspiration there from his engineer for Johan Kristoffersson. Let's have one of those rallycross starts. I think he probably doesn't mean go through the gravel halfway down to turn 1. Race 3 in Suzuka about to get underway. Johan Kristoffersson with the Swedish colours on the roof on pole. Alongside him, Thiago Monteiro, the Portuguese. Reds rise. We are ready to go, and a decent start from the front row men. You already saw Andy Prio pulling out the slipstream. Tarquini looking down the inside, trying to get inside. Kevin Chikonga's contact between the 2 Italians. Of course there is. Around the outside, Montero. Underneath him comes Kristoffersson. He's back into the lead. They flip-flop, and Montero with Ascona. No, with Guerrieri. Where did Ascona go? Guerrieri up to 3rd. Great start from Esteban Guerrieri, but he's got Andy Prio and Ted Björk behind him, and Ascona way down off the order. That's Mar, that's Miata, and that's Coronel, and that is a safety car.
Yeah, I didn't see what happened to Ascona. He's definitely got shuffled out in that melee, but Kristoffersson, Montero got the jump on him and down to turn 1, and Kristoffersson, he definitely did a rallycross move on him there, yeah, didn't he?
Really
hooked
did.
It right at the inside. Not much room there, but he just managed to squeeze his golf in.
Didn't panic, no sign of the safety car yet. Really? I don't know if the cars are moving or not. Kristoffersson leads. Montero in 2nd, Guerrieri in 3rd. Safety car now. I'm not sure what took so long to scramble it. Those cars were never all going to be out of the way. Waved yellow, so everybody now slowing down. The track is not completely blocked, but blocked enough into the pits. Mehdi Bennani, his rotten weekend continues.
Yeah, they obviously had
Puncture
to get...
after contact. There's Miata. Well, that was Bennani's headshot, but Ricci Miata over in the gravel. Tom Coronel, he was the one for me that was never going to get out of that gravel trap. Coronel's wretched Japanese weekend ends here with last on the grid becoming first of the retirements. And Miata came across the grass, and poor Tom minding his own business, and there Mar had nowhere to go either. So Miata came across the on the curbs. He was that was Ascona inside him. 96, that was Mikel Ascona. So that was in 24th, Ascona, who started 3rd. So we didn't see what happened to Ascona on the first lap, but whatever it wasn't good, was it? He went off somewhere, didn't he, while we were watching the leaders?
Well, it wasn't as bad as poor Tom Coronel. That was rotten luck.
Well, Coronel made up places. Ascona lost 20-odd on the first lap. So let's take a look again at the start. Watch Ascona behind Chris R.
He stalls it.
That's why Prio pulled out. because he stalled it and stalled it again. Ascona's car just does not move. Now, while we were watching behind, Thiago on the outside line, having been covered off on the inside by Kristoffersson, Thiago sat on the outside, briefly took the lead. Got a great start from Thiago Monteiro. Wow, look at that launch.
Yeah, it all went perfectly for him. Completely the opposite. Oh, who was that? One of the Hyundais getting down the inside of Chicon.
Gabrielli, yeah, that was Gabrielli and Chacon, and Norbert Mikulec is behind Kevin Chacon, probably very nervously watching those two touch right in front of him. So safety car is out, so race distance was 28 laps. We can add 2 further laps, the first of which will go on to the race distance now to make it 29. I'm sure by the time we get the cars out the gravel, it will be a 30-lap race. But, of course, even behind the safety car, it's taking them barely a minute to get by, so we will lose more laps than we will have added back on, you would think.
This could spice up a bit for us here, Martin, because I think, you know, the combination...
When safety car was deployed. Oh, we were racing with babies, or what the fuck? Okay, tell us any more information. You think you think Kasberg overtook after the safety car board? Is that correct? Kasberg and Shedden, and now Foster don't want to let me go, but you was behind.
Well, that'll be something for race control to sort out. And those radio messages, as ever, Matt, are less for the team and much more to get them to get onto race control.
Lobby the officials to see if they can get some positions reversed. I was about to say the combination of Monteiro and the Honda, I think they are fast, should be faster than Kristoffersson and the VW, you know, in out-and-out pace. So we could see a good scrap at the front here.
Yeah, we could well do. On lap 5 of what is now a 30-lap race. Now, the two Lincoln Co's, Ted Björk in 4th, Andy Preo in 5th, already did their little position swap. I'm not sure whether Ted Björk outstarted Andy or whether Andy then stepped aside and let him go. But as of now, Guerrieri retakes the championship lead by 3 from Mikulec. Ted Björk, instead of being 42 behind, closes up to 39 behind, because he's ahead of Norbert Mikulec.
I mean, a lot of them, they've been seesawing up and down.
Muller's should be penalized because they are not catching up with Andy like this.
Yeah, they've been seesawing up and down, but he's just had a non-eventful weekend, Ted, hasn't he? He's just been quietly getting on with it.
Yeah, get the points, and that's exactly what you need to do. I'm not sure what Ted's bitching about on the radio. It's clearly Hyundai, Cyan Racing Lincoln Co. are clearly using the radio in the way they're using social media to harass other teams. Ted was saying that they should be given a penalty, they're not closing up enough. Well, he's the one that's dropping back off the cars in front. Behind the safety car, you're supposed to keep a maximum of 5-car gap, to the safety car.
So, he measured from Thiago, he just wants to see what is going on. He wants to start like this, and he will give you the place later. Do you understand? Yeah, okay. Whatever. Anyway, I think with Sanderson overdo him over the grass. I think that's not allowed. Copy that. That is exactly why Thiago wants to wait. He wants to see if Kristoffersson gets a penalty. That's what he wants to wait for.
Well, Matt, one thing we have found all weekend is that the Japanese observers and judges of fact at Suzuka are properly eagle-eyed. Nothing gets by them, does it? I mean, absolutely nothing. And this is not our stewards. This is the on-site judges of fact.
Yeah, I was about to say Jobsworth.
Well, they're
just on the ball. Yeah,
but they are absolutely on the ball.
Whether it's the mechanics in the garages or in the pit lane or the drivers out there, it looks like they've got Coronels out the way.
Yeah, but they've still got Miata's car to rescue as well. So Ryuichiro Tomita, the other Japanese wildcard, is still in the queue. Everybody weaving their way down the straight, desperately trying to keep tyre temperature. And so Esteban Guerrieri, during that conversation with his engineers, going, yeah, whatever, just let me know. But what we're hearing there is clearly, Thiago, it's a free pass.
Yeah.
You know, there's no...
Any doubt?
Yeah, no question at all. Thiago will let you by, so you're going to gain one place. Wherever Thiago is, assume that you will be in that position. But before that, if Thiago can put pressure on Kristoffersson, particularly away from the safety car, and make him crack and make him make a mistake, then Esteban could end up with a second win this weekend. Okay, so lights off on the safety car.
When the safety car switches off tonight, how big gap tonight that the safety car?
Oh, Kristoffersson's.
Yeah, huge slide from
Loose.
Johan Kristoffersson. Here we go, back to green flag racing. Thiago Monteiro is behind the double World Rallycross champion. The Golf leads the Hondas across the line. Look at Guerrieri behind. This is Ted Björk behind him. Rob Huff is defending against Kevin Chacon. And Guerrieri having a little bobble. He was tight in on the inside to make sure Ted Björk in the Lincoln Co could not get up underneath him. And Björk does not get through. Then Prio has got Tarquini looking behind him. Tarquini trying to get by Andy Prio and maybe take points away from Ted Björk if he can to help Norbert Mikelic. Mikelic further back down in the queue in 9th place is behind Huff and Chacon. So all clean at the restart. Kristoffersson hanging on to the car. And it's as loosey-goosey as it needs to be to preserve the front tyres. Chacon around the... Oh, no, Chacon's dropped off Huff, and Norby's trying to get by. The white car of Chacon, that's a battle for 8th place behind this queue. And there's Norby. Hasn't got the run, hasn't got enough speed on Chacon. Down the straight, the Alfa just pulled away. And Norbert Mikkel is trying to defend from Jean-Carl Verne in the turquoise car. And Benny Loister was behind, but here comes Attila Tashi. Tashi's got by Loister, and he's trying to get ahead of Verne and then try to get ahead of Norbert Mikkelitz. Not because Tashi wants to take the position so much, but because it will deny Norby vital points in the battle with the other Honda driver.
Yeah, this is team games going on now. Tashi's going to be under team orders to hassle Norby as much as he can, and you know, if he can work at that and get him to lose other places, then it's all points in the bag for the Honda drivers.
Well, Verne got ahead of Tashi at the restart, and Frederick Verbisch has also moved ahead of Nesta Girolami. So 2 of the Audis moving up. Verbisch into 13th and Verne into 10th.
Oh.
Tarquini!
Is that going to open the door for Huff?
Yes, it is. Not wide enough. Not quite wide enough. Tarquini and Prio have got history dating back to the earlier years of this century in WTCC. Think perhaps back to a race in Oschersleben where a lapped Gabriele Tarquini fired Prio's BMW off into the tyres at the back chicane. Not sure Prio was best pleased by that either, and somehow Gabriele, Teflon coated as ever, got a 30-second penalty, despite the fact he was a lap down running in last place and took out a championship contender. Behind him, Rob Huff.
Kristoffersson's pinned his ears back, just set the fastest lap of the race, so he's managed to put a second of air between himself and Monteiro now.
Well, he's trying to make the most of the tyres, isn't he, while he's still got them. He had set the fastest race lap, a 53.9. He's the only man below a 54-second lap. But right now, it's Andy Prio, Gabriele Tarquini and Rob Huff who are setting fast sector times. Norbert Mikkelitz holding on from Jean-Carl Verne. Now, Norby now is like Esteban Guerrieri in race 2. Hold on to your place. Mar with a puncture after that contact, or is that just tyre rub? No, it's just tyre rub.
I think that's
just tyre rub from that bent bodywork.
a bit of body damage from the lap 1 incident.
But he's running 26th and last. To be honest, I think it might be time to park it. All you're going to do is do more damage.
Remaining. Don't take more out of your tires than you need to.
Nice, calm words on the radio. Just keep it easy.
Tarquini's looking, you can see the Achilles heel of those Linkicos is definitely straight line speed. They seem to be at the mercy of all of them down the straight. They're all very evenly matched, but Audi's particularly strong, the Lincoln-Co's particularly weak in that straight line area.
Well, the Lincoln-Co doesn't look it, but it is a proper wide mouth frog. It's got a third more frontal area than the Chevrolets used to have in WTCC. It's a very wide car. It's got a lot more frontal area than anything else, and so you're pushing a wider car through the air, and with the same basic horsepower as everybody else. So that makes their life quite tricky in the straight line. Yeah, Marr giving up the, oh dear, look, there's not much left of the, that's what, the floor has come loose and the splitter has drifted under the car, and that's real danger territory. So if it gets under the wheels, then you're in the barriers. Benny Loister attacking Attila Tashi, can't get by him for 11th. So there is Tashi in the Honda at the back of the shot, ahead of him. The red highlights on Gabriele Tarquini's car. As Tarquini stays ahead of Jean-Carl Vernet, riding on board behind Esteban Guerrieri. This is Ted Björk's view of life. Björk fourth in the championship coming into this race, 5 points behind Ivan Muller. And Ivan is into 16th. He is scoring nothing at the moment, so this will move Ted up into the position he needs to be in.
This is Muller behind Girolami.
Okay, so
Girolami is going to be under team orders again.
Hang on to the last point in 15th place.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Well, so Muller's got the free pass on Air Lachey, got by his nephew, but it's not going to be an easy pass on Girolami.
Yeah, he's got Air Lachey riding shotgun for him now, but
no, don't come in, don't come in. We can have a point if you overtake Girolami or something happens. I have enough to take risk on my own, and trust me.
I thought it was going to end up that sense with trust me, I'm going to take everything, but that's taken as read. So Ivan Muller out of the points at the moment, and that will move Ted Björk up into third place in the championship, ahead of Ivan. And if he's behind Ivan, he can never guarantee that he's going to get the support of Ivan as well as his other two Lincoln-Co teammates. But the more he can move ahead of Ivan going into the final two rounds, the more chance Ted Björk has of being the only Lincoln-Co driver in the hunt. Tashi and Loister continue to battle. There they are, 11th and 12th. Tashi with a big slide going. And 25 cars still running. Jim Carto last in the queue behind Daniel Hagloff and Mikael Ascona. So the PWR racing cars have come together. Ascona started third on the grid and Hagloff started 24th. And they are now running 23rd and 24th. So Daniel Hagloff has made up no places and Mikael Ascona has lost 20. And that was off the grid when the car just did not move. 5-second penalty added for not being in the grid spot to car number 9, Attila Tashi. He's had a lot of pace in the KCMG Honda. It's not been his most fortunate weekend, though, has it?
Oh, that's a shame, that is. I mean, but that's a ruling which we've just put in because being out your grid spot in the British touring cars would be a drive-through penalty, which basically can wreck your race or weekend.
A much sterner penalty.
It's now just been voted through that it'll be either a 5 or 10-second penalty for next year onwards.
Well, don't forget, Kevin Chacon won on the road, race 3 here last year, but he had a 5-second grid penalty for not being in his grid box, or 5-second penalty for not being in his grid box. So Gabriele Tarquini ended up with the points as the victor.
Hence going back to why they all put their little marking points on the arm coat to the side, just to try and make sure it's absolutely perfect.
The problem is, it's frequently not that they're ahead of the line, it's that they're outside the side lines, which are only about a foot long.
The problem is, they're asking the drivers to roll an inch perfect.
Yeah.
Which, as long as you've got your marker points all correct, but the problem is, by the end of the weekend, we're in race 3 now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different marker points because you're rolling up and there's there's tape everywhere, and you're looking down. There's so many different markings around.
You can't be too far forward, you can't be too far back either, and you can't be outside or beyond either of the short
And you can't
white
use
lines.
someone else's markings because
their
position is different to you.
And their door mirror will be. So which is why when your team are on the grid with you, one of the things they'll do is double check that you've got a marker. Car number 5 is Norbert Mikelic, the championship leader coming in here, holding on to 9th ahead of Jean-Carl Vernet. We heard JK, like Rob Huff, you know, they both want to do well, but they know they're not in the championship battle. We heard that from Rob Huff after race 1, that he knew chasing the leader, Norbert Mikelic, he said, I'm not in the championship battle. I'm not going to do anything silly and ruin somebody else's championship, because I don't want that coming back to me. I wouldn't expect anybody else to do it. You know, we're all intelligent grown-ups here, and whoa! Well, Benny Loister's car got just a little bit too loosey-goosey on him, and he loses ground and drops behind. No, he didn't drop behind Frederick Vervisch. In fact, he hung on. And oh no, Vervisch did go through, and so too did Nicky Katzberg.
He's not the first to have lost it through there this weekend, is he?
No, not at all. So Vervisch, Katzberg, and there's Loister on the back. And these cars turning in over there, they look like they're powerful rear drive cars just sliding through.
He's 4 positions in front of us. The gap is 4.5 seconds to him. He has a 5-second penalty, so we have to try to overtake Girolami. What do you think I am doing? I am pushing me. I would like to say for everyone. Ivan, is as frustrating for you than for me. Yeah, we have to find a way to do something about this. I am not talking to you. I know, Ivan, don't worry.
Tashi is 4.8 seconds ahead of Ivan, so now Ivan is in 15th and will get a point effectively, because Tashi will be dropped back behind Ivan with that 5-second penalty. Now
that's great. I love that radio conversation. That is Ivan.
I know. However, Ivan's team are now saying you've got to push on because Tashi's going to get a penalty. But Girolami's team will also know that Tashi's going to get a penalty. They'll know that if Girolami backs Ivan up past 5 seconds behind, then he won't get a point. So Tashi will drop back between Girolami and Ivan.
Yes.
So Girolami's job now is to slow Ivan up to make sure that Ivan finishes more than 5 seconds behind Tashi and can't get a place as a result. Right now, Ivan is in 16th, but Tashi will drop to 16th, promoting Ivan to 15th. But I reckon in a couple of laps, Girolami will have backed Ivan up enough that that ceases to be an issue.
Interesting.
What then needs to happen is that Priaulx or Priaulx rather, drops out of 5th, pulls into the pits and retires with some spurious issue, which puts Ivan into the points. Because
look at the speed of that Alpha.
Well, don't forget, Chicon was doing that to Tarquini all the way through. Oh! And runs into the inside of Rob Huff. That's a push to pass. Kevin Chicon got his nose in there and unsettled Huff's Golf, and through he went. And now he is right up behind. Oh, hey, Gabrielli, it's me again. But I think that the stewards will reverse that by handing Chicon a penalty.
Is Gabrielli going to drop back behind Norby as well? A lot could put unfold.
Yes,
Gabrielli. 9
9
laps to go.
Well, Gabrielli definitely could, because if he gives points to Huff and Chicon, doesn't matter.
Well, it's not even a mark on Chicon's car, is it?
No.
But he's looking racy.
Yeah, he always does. You know, give him a half, like any driver, give you a half competitive car. Look at this down the straight. The Giulietta's got great frontal area. Look at the speed straight. Oh, hang on a minute.
I reckon this is tactical. Either Gabrielli's letting Chicon go.
Tarquini's going to let them both go, because if he doesn't, then Norby can't catch him and can't go by. So he's going to allow, Gabrielli may slow a little and allow Rob to go through. And then he can allow Norby to go through and try and shut the door on Jean-Carl Vernet and run interference for Norbert Mikelic.
Oh, but why didn't he try and back the pair of them in to give Norby a run on him?
Because that doesn't help, because then it backs Norby up to Vernet, and that might end up with Norby losing a place. Johan Kristoffersen has pulled away from Thiago Monteiro, and Monteiro with Guerrieri behind him. Well, Montero's not going to catch now. Let's listen to Prio.
All okay, Andy? All okay? Check on behind you now. Check on behind you for position. He's fast on the straight.
Right, so yes, Chacon is fast on the straight. Is that the team now starting to sell the fact that Andy might have a problem and might need to pit sooner? We'll wait and see. We will wait and see. Prio could give points to Muller. Tarquini definitely can give points to Mikulits. So there are other forces at work here.
Okay, Ted, so the Alpha's just taken Andy now, so I'm expecting him to be with you in a lap or so, okay?
Yeah, the problem with that is that releases the Alpha to go after Ted, doesn't it?
Well, a lap or so, Phil Barker, maybe 2 or 3 laps. What's Chacon doing? Last lap a 55.89, Ted Björk a 56.2, so 4 tenths. And the gap between them at the line was
it's almost like
2.5 seconds.
It's almost like Prio wants to annoy Tarquini all day, isn't it? He leaves the door open, wide open after you, Claude.
Yeah. Well, down the straight, Tarquini had no answer to Chacon. El Haché, Farfus goes right by him. The Lincoln Co's are struggling for grip, aren't they?
Then it's straight line, Martin.
Yeah.
Straight line. But that brings Farfus onto the back of Muller.
Yeah, which will
that
delight
was a good move.
Muller.
That was a great move.
Yeah. Well, Farfus doesn't mind getting his sleeves rolled up. Like Prio, a long time since he'd raced a front-wheel drive car, but the muscle memory is coming back. Here comes El Haché. He's going to
He's having another go back.
He is, isn't he? Who comes out of the corner? El Haché is ahead, right at the back of the shot, ahead of Farfus. Tarquini's gone by Prio. So Prio is struggling, and Huff has come a-calling as well. Now then, this will drop Prio back down in front of, let me think, oh yeah, Norbert Mikulits.
Yes.
Yes. So Tarquini's gone, but Prio's job now is to try and hold up Norby and back him into Vernay. Langenfeld coming in with a second punch of the weekend. 2 punches in 3 races in the entire field, and they've both been on Langenfeld's car. Kristoffersen leads still, the gap 3.8 to Thiago Monteiro. Esteban Guerrieri's flashing the headlights there. This is lap 26 of 30.
I don't know why he's bothering that. You just get on the radio or on the comms.
Oh, Huff looking upside, inside, around Andy Prio. I'm not sure yet that Prio is giving up positions. He wants to finish as strongly as he can, just because he's a racing driver. And at the back of this group, Vernay with the turquoise nose of his Audi right underneath the splitter of Norbert Mikulits. But again, like Huff, Vernay knows who's fighting for the championship, and he knows he's not one of them. He's not going to nerve Norby off. If the door's open, he's coming. But if it's not, he's not going to shove his nose in.
Yeah, the Audi's fast in a straight line down that start-finish straight into turn 1. That's where he's going to be the threat. Just off here, he can get a good run off his final bend.
But he doesn't, does he? Over the brow, he loses all that ground, only makes it up at the end of the straight, not close enough to have a lunge. And he can't have a lunge, he can't fire off Norby, because he's ruining somebody else's championship.
He's trying to switch back.
Well, Prio using all the road in the Lincoln Co. Vernay trying to go the long way round Mikulits.
Prio's having to work for his money here.
4 very different cars with very different strengths in this one shot. And I think the one at the back of these 4 is probably the quickest of them all at the moment. And that is Jean-Carl Vernay in the Audi. 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th, all close together. Lap 28 for the leader, Johan Kristoffersen. And still, now, car 88 under investigation for safety car. That's Nicky Katzberg. This is Tashi and Katzberg. So that was what was being talked about on the radio earlier, that Katzberg may have made up places when the safety car boards were out, but the safety car wasn't. Thiago Monteiro, by the way, still in second ahead of Esteban Guerrieri. They got 2 laps to sort it out. Thiago and Guerrieri have got plenty of room back to Ted Björk, who's in 4th, ahead of Kevin Chekon by only 0.2 of a second. So this battle with Prio, less interesting than whether Chekon can get by Ted Björk and take points away from the Lincoln Co driver. There's Thiago. We're looking back now from Guerrieri. So the change has happened, hasn't it? Guerrieri's second. Yes, he is. There's confirmation. Thiago's third. Either that or Thiago suddenly closed enormously on the race leader, Kristoffersson.
Yeah.
And whoa, right in the background, Prio and Huff. And Mikulits and Verne still close together. Huff still trying to find a way back. Somebody's gone off in sector 2. Who are we missing? Fredrik Vervisch. He's lost a place to Benny Leuchter. Who else has gone off? Hegloff is in the pits. Hegloff has retired. Don't know what the yellow flags are for. Who is off here? Has somebody moved? Well, they haven't moved the one tyre stack there. No. Let's take a look again. This is Erlaché and Farfus.
Oh!
And that was where the contact came from. That's the second contact, isn't it?
Yeah.
Farfus then on the curves, unsettling his car, clattered into Erlaché. I think Jan will have some words for Augusto later. Safety car. Where is the car that's off? Safety car. We're going to finish this one under safety car, as we did in race 1. Kristoffersson will win it. And that was why I was wondering why they were taking so long to move Guerrieri ahead of Monteiro. Imagine if they hadn't done it, they were going to do it on the last lap.
Yeah, they've been
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Guerrieri might have lost the championship for that reticence to do the move early. Safety car is out, the race is frozen, and Attila Tashi, all right, Tashi's 5-second penalty now. Behind the safety car, in theory, Girolami should close up to Fredrik Vervisch and bring Ivan Muller closer to Tashi. I'm not sure how that's going to work. He'll say, well, there wasn't really time, it was only out on the final lap, and yada, yada, yada. We'll see how that works out later. As of now, though, it was Tomita in the gravel. As of now, it is victory for Johan Kristoffersson. He wins here in Suzuka. Esteban Guerrieri takes second ahead of Thiago Monteiro. They made the move just in time. Ted Björk behind Thiago, and Kevin Chekon got ahead of Thiago Monteiro for third. Well, we didn't see that happen.
So Muller was 19, Tassi was, yeah, so he'll get the 5
Muller
seconds.
16th, 19.9 behind.
Good job,
I'll put Tassi back in.
Good job. Thank you.
Yeah, Tashi at the line, 17 seconds back.
Yeah, that's the way we need to work. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but guys,
You did great job, okay? Once you cross the line, when you cross the finish line, pick up shit on the tyres, confirm?
they left it perilously late. Here's where it happened. I guess they didn't want to do it early, but the later they left it, the more danger there was.
Well, maybe that's why Esteban was getting a little bit agitated, flashing his lights down the straight down.
And rightly, because Ted Björk, who was behind Esteban, was a long way back for a long time. They had 5 laps at least in which they should have made the switch. Kevin Chekon, don't know how he got up into third.
Yeah.
How's that happened?
Good job, Johan. Well done, mate. Good job.
Thank you, guys.
Has Thiago been given a time penalty?
Very good on the train. It was absolutely slow. It was just enjoyable to ride. Very good. Awesome. Keep giving me a run. Very good run. You have to go on. Really give me.
Well, Johan Kristoffersson, very Swedish as ever, very relaxed, very calm, and very calm indeed. But victory for him here in Suzuka. Not sure when he was rally crossing, where if he ever thought he was going to end up winning races in places like Suzuka. There you go.
Oh, don't do that on your
I
roof.
know. Remember how Mark Busfield used to go mad when the Chevy drivers, he'd go, right, yeah, call dent busters, get them in for Monday morning. But you see how thin the panels are, it just pops straight back up. Of course, it'll never be straight again, but, you know, whatever. It's not too much of an
Now, we're
aerodynamic
being told that
deficiency.
Kevin Chacon might have overtaken.
Well, he must have been, because when we saw the change happen, Chacon was like 4 or 5 seconds back. That can only be as the safety car boards came out, and suddenly Thiago will have slowed right down because he'd done his job to let Esteban go, and then Chacon pounced and may not have realised that the safety car was out. Well, there is Thiago, there is Esteban. So Thiago's come into Parc Ferme because he thinks I was third. He knows when Chacon passed him, and Chacon will then end up with, what will it take? Chacon was 2.8 seconds ahead of Thiago, and Ted Björk was 0.66 behind. So my prediction is that the penalty for Kevin Chacon will be 3 seconds, which will drop him back into 4th place ahead of Ted Björk. So Montero being confirmed as 3rd place, and Chacon. Yeah, we're looking in the truck to try and find on board, see if we can pick up when that happened. But some very happy Honda racing men. Suzuka circuit owned by Honda, and Honda Land is the amusement park. You see the big wheels so often in the shots here. Honda Racing celebrating 60 years this year. Soichiro Honda took the motorcycle racing in 1959, and they have been racing on 2 wheels and 4 ever since. And there is Alex lining up to chat to our race winner, Johan Kristoffersson. Fox Latin America chatting to Esteban Guerrieri. 2nd in the race, now 1st in the points. But let's hear from our race 3 winner, Johan Kristoffersson.
Johan Kristoffersson wins his 2nd race of the FIA World Touring Car Cup season. That was a brilliant, brilliant start, and then that was it, really.
Yeah, I mean, the takeaway from the start line was maybe not the best, so Thiago get a jump on me, but then I managed to do the undercut in T1, and from there on the car was just the best it's been all weekend. So thanks to the team, also thanks to the teammates, gave me some advice between the races to what line to take. So yeah, it was very, very nice to also be able to put myself in the position to fight for the victory in very tricky conditions on Friday with 6 tire on the front.
Your first corner was the most entertaining. We heard the team say do a rallycross start, so yeah, you didn't manage to do that, but you did seem to do it at the first corner.
Yeah, let's say I did a good rallycross move until T2, and from there on it was just trying to be as smooth as possible and taking care of the car.
Great result, well done, Johan.
Thank you.
Yeah, great stuff for Johan Kristoffersson. Victory here in race 3 in Suzuka. So the Golf not perhaps quite the package that they had hoped for. Well, we're waiting for the officials to sort out the confusion with Chacon and Thiago. But Thiago clearly knew what had happened and went to Parc Ferme anyway, assuming that it would be sorted out, as likely it will be. And recovering both wild cards, who both went off. So Miata and Tomita both going off in the race. Tom Coronel's car there as well. Marcin Kwa was clattered into in that one. The first safety car, by the way, from video, there were no safety car boards out when Gordon Shedden and Nicky Katzberg went past Muller and Erlaché. Possibly the Lincoln Co guys had been told there was going to be a safety car before the boards were out, and they may have slowed up. But possibly not going to be ending up with penalties for that. Muller will certainly hope that there might be, although in the end Shedden and Katzberg ended up behind him, so that's not really going to help him. Nicky Katzberg was 11th, so if Katzberg is penalised, then Muller might end up with a point out of this. But the highest scoring of the Lynk & Co drivers this weekend has been Ted Björk. So he moves into 3rd place in the championship behind Norbert Mikulits, who's 2nd, and Esteban Guerrieri. 57 points from this weekend. The most valuable driver of the weekend, scored more than anybody else. There's team boss René Munich. And Norby's car, fastest race lap was a 53.8. That's the fastest of the weekend. He set that on his way to winning race 2. Bit of clearing up and sweeping up to do, because once we have finished with the circuit, the full Grand Prix track will be opened up for the Super Formula season closer.
I'm now being told on comms, Martin, that they're going to check on his P3.
Well,
bit of confusion.
The problem is that they don't make a decision immediately. They will want to review it, review all the data, see exactly when on the lap in the timeline the safety car was announced, when the boards were put out. Don't forget, race control here speaks Japanese. Our race director doesn't, so he has to go through the local race control, have it all translated, sent down the line. I mean, that's often the case wherever we go, but it does take time, and sometimes just a second or two is enough to make a difference. So Kevin Chacon at the moment 3rd in the Alfa Romeo. Whether that remains 3rd by tonight, tomorrow morning, we will have to wait and see.
I don't know.
So a little bit of confusion. There's Thiago with him as well. They're both, they might both step onto the podium just so we get at least one shot of whoever does end up 3rd. Well, Thiago, obviously Portuguese, speaks French, speaks English, clearly speaks Italian and Spanish as well, because he's having an Italian-Spanish conversation with Esteban and with Kevin, and it looks as though this may be our result. Kristoffersson, Guerrieri, Chacon, the 1, 2, 3, ahead of Montero. Ted Björk in 5th position, Norbert Mikulits in 9th. Our 3rd and 2nd in the standings. Guerrieri, the runner-up here, is the points leader, and Muller finishes in 15th place, 1 point from Saturday, from Sunday rather, from race 3, as Tashi is dropped down to 18th place. That 5-second penalty really amplified by the fact that they finished behind the safety car. So the championship leader changes again. So far, the championship has been led by Guerrieri, then Björk, then Guerrieri, then Girolami, then Guerrieri, then Mikulits, then Guerrieri, then Mikulits, and now Guerrieri again. So Muller now drops to 4th, Askana still 5th, and Guerrieri leads from Japan as we now head to Macau in a month's time. So let's take a look at what happened in that pass for 3rd. Last lap. Oh, that's why Chacon got by Thiago. Thiago was heading into the pit lane thinking the race was over, and Chacon didn't so much pass him as Montero stopped. Final race of the weekend at Suzuka. Johan Kristoffersson, the DHL pole sitter, with 29 cars on the grid in Japan, ready to do battle for the final time. Thiago Montero on the outside, the front row. Mikel Ascona stalled from 3rd on the grid. Mercifully, when he stalled a 2nd time, still nobody hit him, but he lost 20 places. Tomita and Bernani getting together right from the beginning, and then trouble. Tomita on the grass, clashing into Coronel, Miata rather, the other wild card, and taking out Ma as well. Cue a safety car. Back to green flag racing. Jean-Carl Verne chasing Norbert Mikulitz. Benny Leuchter getting far too loose. The speed of the Alpha allowing Checon finally to get by Tarquini and then past Prio as the Italian charged up the order. Farfus and Lachey had a good, if wheel-banging, exchange for 16th several times. Behind Ivar Muller, who was trying to get into the points, but Johan Kristoffersen from pole led all the way. Safety car on the final lap, freezing the positions. Kristoffersen the winner from Guerrieri, who took the points lead. Well, big weekend for the man there in the grey t-shirt, Rennie Munich, and his team. Dominic Greiner on the right, the team manager.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podium for the third race of the FIA World Touring Car Cup by Oscaro here, the race of Japan. Please welcome onto the podium in third position from Team Mulsanne, it's Kevin Checon. In second position from allincool.com, Munich Motorsport, it's Esteban Guerrieri. And your winner from SLR Volkswagen, it's Johan Kristoffersen. And representing SLR Volkswagen is Jari Miscalini. And now the national anthem for both SLR Volkswagen and Johan Kristoffersen.
I don't know how.
Trophies. The vice chairman of the race, Naoki Nagasaka, will present the third position trophy to Team Mulsanne's Kevin Checon. The Senior Executive Director of Japan Automobile Federation, Masakatsu Kume, will present the second position trophy to allincool.com Munich Motorsports, Esteban Guerrieri. Shoichiro Uguchi, President and CEO of JBC Kenwood, will present the winning driver trophy to SLR Volkswagen's Johan Kristoffersen. And the Senior Executive Director of Japan Automobile Federation, Masakatsu Kume, will present the winning team trophy to SLR Volkswagen's representative, Yari Miskalani. Please come together for your official photograph. Let's grab the bottles. Let's party.
Well, time finally to celebrate the end of a long and tricky weekend for all these drivers. Esteban Guerrieri there in the black suit, really celebrating. He has retaken for the second time this weekend the championship lead. Johan Kristoffersen gets a nice champagne bath. Everybody smells like a winner. So SLR Volkswagen, you heard the Swedish anthem for the driver, and of course the French anthem is not for Volkswagen, but for Sebastian Loeb Racing. It's for the team, not for the car's manufacturer, because these are non-factory teams. Yes, they are. Kevin Chacon there. Pretty entertaining weekend for him again in Suzuka. And Esteban Guerrieri back in the top spot in the championship. Gabriele Tarquini now moves up to 7th, by the way.
Finally, some more smell of champagne.
So let's take a look at the team standings. Sign Racing Lynk & Co. tied now with Munich Motorsport, and 10 points covering the top 3. With BRC Hyundai's Gabriele Tarquini and Norbert Mikulich, both scoring strongly in all of the races, and both in the top 7 in the championship as well. Tarquini is not out of the hunt yet, with 2 race weekends still to go in Macau and Malaysia. So that is the way the team's standings are, and again it is the championship lead seesaw that sees climbing to the top again of the greasy pole Esteban Guerrieri. So he takes the points lead away from Suzuka on the way to Macau in a month from now. So that's it. My thanks to you for joining us. On behalf of Alex Legui, Matt Neal and the entire WTCR TV crew, thank you and arigato. We will see you in Macau.